In an effort to attract the best and brightest minds from the nation's historically black colleges and universities to Fox Entertainment and the Fox multimedia platform, in the spring of 2013, the Fox HBCU Media Alliance was launched. I'm Michael Reel, and this is ReelUrbanNews.com. Join us for an exclusive conversation with Nicole Bernard, a senior vice president with the Fox Entertainment Group and the visionary behind the Fox HBCU Media Alliance.
Will shine. Dopest quiz you ever heard.
Nicole, what is the Fox HBCU Media Alliance?
I am proud to say that the Fox HBCU Media Alliance is a baby, a pet initiative of mine on behalf of the Fox Audience Strategy Group. From the inception of Fox Audience Strategy and its launch, part of our mission is to engage broader and diverse audiences, and I could think of no broader and more dynamic audience than the HBCU community. And having attended an HBCU, from beginning to of the thought about launching the department, there was the concept of engaging on a broad scale all of the HBCUs. I attended Howard University, and so that was the genesis of the thinking, how do we engage Howard? And I knew that our businesses had historically engaged with HBCUs, Howard, Spelman, Hampton, Morgan, Lincoln, etc., from a financial perspective, a development perspective. And from doing our internal research about that type of financial giving, we said, why isn't it more then? If we're doing this much concentrated effort and are so engaged with the HBCUs that we financially give to their causes and needs, to the schools of communication and student retention programs, as well as the Fox News apprenticeship program that has laid with Howard University quite productively for years, why aren't we seeing more of the fruits of that labor internally? From a self-serving perspective, given my role at the company and what we're charged with, the thought was, how do we as a company benefit from that interest and from a competitive perspective, generate workforce from that type of giving and interest in the HBCUs? And what became of that thinking was the alliance. Why don't we take an umbrella and throw that over top of all of that we've been doing in a disparate way and aggregate those efforts across our company? And I believe that the alliance would be unique to anything else that was out there. Not because the concept and the great work efforts of other organizations haven't been utilized and leveraged, but if you're not sitting within a distribution platform where you can recognize and create a tangible platform for all the talent you're galvanizing, then the efforts become philanthropic purely, and developmental. And I know the HBCUs recognize and appreciate the development, the giving, the financial giving. Of course. But if all that financial giving creates, let's take by way of example, equipment for the schools of the various schools of communications that lie within the HBCUs, so that they can cultivate and develop brilliant talent that we know is there in their nascency and they're groomed through their 4 years at school, and then there's no landing place for that talent, then we're doing each other a disservice. The creation of the HBCUs was to create opportunity, and we know opportunity lies squarely within education. And so we're sitting in a place that has the unique capability to provide tangible results from that cultivation. Production, storytelling, writing, filmmaking, production, engineering, the sciences, business affairs, law, accounting, so on and so forth. So while you have many organizations who are thankfully giving to HBCUs, where we want to create a voice in media and entertainment for the diaspora that is uniquely ours, then we have the unique assets to allow for that to happen. So this becomes more than lip service.
Sure.
It becomes more than a philanthropic, oh, this would be a really nice thing to
action.
do. This is pairing action with a business desire to engage and cultivate and draw to our businesses the best and the brightest.
The Alliance just launched this past spring.
Yes.
From your perspective, what are some of the challenges?
There are many. And I say that, but not feeling daunted by them. We're not pushed back by the challenges. Anything worth having is going to have potential minefields. There are many I's to dot, many T's to cross. One of the first challenges or perceived challenges that I had was that our companies, the interesting part of our corporate culture is that we act fairly autonomously with a singular goal, though, to produce the best global content out there. And so one of the challenges that we naturally thought we'd encounter, and we did to an extent, but not in a negative way it might sound like, is that we want to galvanize all of our own troops, because there's no point in having an external conversation, an outward-facing conversation with the consumer, with the viewer, with the Alliance members, and then galvanize that interest and bring it inside, and it falls flat. If we didn't have the buy-in of our film groups, of our sales divisions, of our legal divisions, of the broadcast company, of the networks group, which incorporates sports and digital and the cable businesses, then what's the point of creating it? Because the answer to the age-old question that if a tree falls in a forest and there's no one there to hear it, does it make a noise? And we have at Audience Strategy answered that question. The answer is no, it doesn't make any noise. So why create it if we don't have the internal support and buy-in? And so that was the first challenge. My connectivity with Howard is obvious, and one of the oldest HBCUs. It was a natural fit, and that was a very easy conversation. Hampton was the second institutional partner to come on board. Morehouse following. But we ended up having to have more conversation around the veracity, the need, who we are, why we're doing this with the HBCUs, that seemed more in a convincing mode than it was anything else. And that was a surprising challenge because the benefits were laid out very concretely and seemed pretty obvious that in order to give ourselves and African Americans a voice, you want to go to probably the most dynamic and the largest platform to do that, which is media and entertainment. And it took more convincing than we had anticipated.
In terms of thinking about challenges, what should students be doing on these campuses, these historically black college and university campuses throughout the country? What should they be doing to prepare themselves for this terrific opportunity?
Well, and let me take one step back in conjunction with answering that in terms of challenges, one of the greater challenges is related to the question, is being able to remind the folks we want to serve through the Alliance that the Alliance is not an organization or a platform relegated to students alone. It is not a student organization. It is inclusive of the entire HBCU family, from student, alumni, recent alumni, to more senior alumni and established alumni, to faculty and staff, and even friends of. So there are many, many supporters of HBCUs who are not of the HBCUs. Right. They didn't teach there, their children didn't go there, they didn't attend an HBCU, but they are big believers in the higher education for African Americans. And with respect to students who are from freshman to senior at any HBCU, your preparedness is simply your curiosity. If you believe that you have an interest in expanding our voice through media and entertainment, which again is a dynamic, huge, global platform, join the Alliance. It's free. So use your curiosity. If you hear about it and say, well, I'm not so sure what I want to do, why wait to try and figure that out? Because I'm a firm believer now, because in hindsight, that in your youth, you think you know. And some people have that blessing, you know, because you know yourself. But I think your greatest asset, your greatest way to prepare is to simply participate, to give yourself a voice, join so that you can learn more, because you don't know what you don't know. As you educate yourself about media and entertainment, you realize it's not all in front of the camera.
I think we're learning that now.
Yes.
We're seeing it
yes.
recently in the past 3 weeks. In the past few weeks, we've seen two significant posts putting African Americans at the helm. We see the DGA, Directors Guild, they elected a black president. They were followed by the Academy Awards. They elected a black president. And these people aren't front camera people.
Right.
Is this a trend?
I don't think so at all. And as you look at the recent appointments with Paris Barclay at the DGA and Cheryl Boone Isaacs at the Academy of Motion Pictures, all firsts. Right. They are not in front of the screen. They're not your talent. They're not actors and actresses.
The Alliance is a great partnership. How did you get here, though? Tell us about your road in terms of your career here at Fox.
I studied broadcast journalism and communications at Howard, graduated from that school with the belief that I wanted to go into on air. And I wanted to write and become a journalist and become an anchor. Sure. And then I had a fantastic professor who was smart enough to give her senior class the real idea of what that will take to do that. And I wasn't prepared to do it.
Sure. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and I don't mind work in the least bit.
As we prepare to close, how important is it, from your perspective, for African Americans and people of color, persons of color, to tell our own story?
With demographics in this country changing so dramatically, and people self-identifying as all things transcultural, racial, a mixture. I don't even use multicultural anymore.
Not enough.
I think it's a beautiful thing in that you cannot tell an authentic story without having representation of that story in the room.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Dopest you ever heard. Straight out of Diamond Star Production. Will shine.